Race fans, good evening and welcome to the Midwest Tornado Alley. Better yet, this particular state known as ethanol or corn country. Welcome to Iowa in prime time tonight, Sunday night. You got locked in the right YouTube channel for some high-flying, high-octane Gen 4 action. Good evening. Welcome to Redline Racing Network. Almost screwed that up. As the Premier Sim Racers Club gets ready to chuck some corn out there on the racetrack, fast and furious style. Matt Mettler checking in up in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth as these drivers are poised and primed to put on a Gen 4 showdown. As we take a look at that field, getting racked and stacked, ready to rock and roll from the Goodyear blimp high above the Speedway. Looks like Chuck Sweeting here is going to have the pole in the 75 ride this evening. Let's take it down trackside as that field now gets racked, ready to rock and roll for 125 grueling laps here from Iowa. Want to welcome all of you live here on Redline Racing Action. Strap in for some Gen 4 racing action. This car made the golden era ever so popular, a real catalyst, often referred to as the best period in time of NASCAR racing. This car has all the power, north of 900 horsepower, and you better respect that throttle pedal. In fact, you better have it pointed straight if you choose to unleash all of those biscuits underneath the hood. Because if you don't, you'll find yourself in a wall, or perhaps go in space shuttle status, as we seen last week, as these drivers certainly did impress on the road course in Watkins Glen, as we get set, ready to rock and roll here for the second installment of the series on Redline Racing Network. Now get up to pace speed here. As I mentioned, from Hawthorne, Florida, Chuck Sweeting going to have the pole. Outside of him going to be Joseph McWhorter. Bad Boy Troy going to start off in that P3 position. Fourth belongs Bentley Glazer. Fifth, Travis Everett. The 54 ride being piloted by Ballesteros is going to roll off here in that sixth place position. Michael Larch, as those positions are changing on me. Bear with me one moment here. Chris Medford going to roll off here, ninth in that 44 machine. Sean Corcoran going to round out your top 10 is the other Medford, Brandon Medford, 11th. Matthew Robinson, 12th. 13 belongs to Ray Polking. Well, GT, the master of going faster, is Zari, 14th. Doug Wysocki is going to roll off here, 15th. And starting shotgun on the field, William Hawley is 16 drivers set to take the initial green flag here as that iRacing.com pace car pulls off. And here we go. Time to wipe the visor, kick the dust, hope that rear end doesn't bust. Green flag action underway officially from Iowa Speedway. And already it's a 2x2 side-by-side affair. Joseph tried in the quarter, that first place position away from Chuck Sweeting. But Chuck, he is fighting tough on the bottom. He's going to pinch him down just a little bit, but he's able to get that 7-3 wound up on the high side of the racetrack. It did not take McWhorter no more than a lap to dethrone your pole sitter Sweeting as he now moves back to that second place position. But folks, this Gen 4 car, miles away, nothing quite like the current next-gen car. This car really is the Twisted Sister. It is a screaming demon, and if you don't respect this thing, it will eat you up out on the racetrack. Point being, we should see a lot of change leads. Oh, we're already under caution here tonight. We barely got through the open. Let's go ahead and throw the timing tower up there on the screen. Actually, let's change it up tonight. Let's go with the ticker. Is that iRacing.com pace car already back out on the racetrack? An early caution here. Give a chance for timing and scoring to catch up here. Let's see what went wrong. Looks like an incident perhaps involving Matthew Robinson. Let's go back to the Redline Racing Network instant replay here. Let's try to cue that up once again here. There we go, and roll playback. Clearly, damage has already been done to these race cars, so let's try to support the cause here. Just go old school VHS mode. Perhaps a little extracurricular activity after the incident on the racetrack as we try to roll this back. Oh, man, the 40 went full-time helicopter mode here. Sometimes timing and scoring gets these incidents on the racetrack. Other times we got to kind of take over and do our own thing here. Let's focus on the 40 machine, that natural bite, literally. No pun intended. Sends it down here into the corner, peeking on the inside. Now that Golf machine, 3 wide. Oh, he just gets loose off the bottom. That car got evil. You see the twitch, he locks it down. You see those front tires were not moving, sliding across the racetrack here. Oh, and the 31 just kapows, howitzers. And look at that. Unleashes helicopter mode on that natural bite machine. That 31 is absolutely smoked. In fact, let's roll this back one more time here. Then the 40 comes in there and just says, hey, man, I didn't appreciate that. Apparently, those drivers had some more to say about it after the race, and I understand the frustration there. Try to get the replay here to work with us again. Timing and scoring was out to lunch on this, so we're trying to manually control this all the way through the playback here. Let's go on board here with Matthew Robinson. And just watch this shot he gets administered. And these tires, Cole, don't have a lot of grip yet. Ton of horsepower, a lot of torque. You see the back end goes to step out. He overcorrects, locks it down now. And then a blistering shot there from William Hawley in the 31. And I am pretty sure that is going to KO that race car. You can see in the pits for an extended period of time there for the 31, not the start of the race he was looking for. So we now send it back up to the point. Shots already fired here at Iowa. Or in fact, the cord has been chucked early. Let's try this again. Re-rack him, restack him. It's going to be McWhorter on Sweeting action once again. Green flag in the air. He's going to put it through the floorboards as these V8s come screaming gloriously. Back up to speed. Almost 10,000 RPMs. .75 going right back to where he started. Again, going to try to attack on the outside lane here. The 73 is going to come up to block. These two eating good in the neighborhood here early. First side-by-side battle on the racetrack going to be that throwback to Brian Vickers when he drove for Red Bull Racing on the high side. That's Bentley Glasser. The challenger on the bottom, Bad Boy Troy. In fact, he thought about it, check back up in line. That's going to put us all single file conveyor belt style here. While all that was going on, McWhorter ran the fastest lap of the race, clocked in at a 23.65. You can see that early caution there has kind of dialed the intensity back out there on the racetrack, and sometimes that's all it takes. Early caution like that will kind of remind these drivers, hey, you cannot win it on lap one. You have to be in it to win it. You got to survive and be alive. And you certainly can't do that if you're knocking yourself out of competition on lap 1. Hot spot on the racetrack right now is going to be right around this 20 machine, Curtis Preston. He's going to send it Bon Jovi style, living on a prayer on the bottom. Still taking a peek there. Commits now. Going to rip it just about a quarter of a lane off that yellow line. Going to pull the old Louisville slider, check the box. Curtis Preston now up to 6th. Let's see if the 54 tries to come back on it, and he's peaking. Just doesn't have quite enough punch there off the 3 and 4 complex. One of the drivers I mentioned earlier, one of the masters of going faster, GT Azari, starting a little uncharacteristically deep in the field. Often a force to be reckoned with, especially in next-gen competition. But as I said earlier, this car is a completely different animal in how they race and how you have to attack the racetrack inside the cockpit of this race car versus the current next-gen. The bottom's certainly the shortest way around this racetrack, and that's what GT is trying to dial in right now, that low line. Again, this is for that 12th place position, and the side-by-side action is allowing Ray to poke his way in there. In fact, what do you say we jump on board with the 46? Watch this battle unfold from the cockpit of his race car. From Bright, Indiana, you're on board with Polking. As we often say, catching them is one thing, passing them is another, and that's really the storyline right now for GT Azari, as he's been going at it and finally he doesn't clear him. I thought he had enough there. 83 fighting back on the outside. These two battling side by side, Noah's Ark style, is allowing Ray to come right into the picture here, as they're going to resaddle up, do it all over again. 14 trying to have it his way, the BK machine. And Ray has got VIP front row tickets for this battle for 12. You know, one thing these drivers have to be keep in mind, you know, you get caught up in these side-by-side battles like this. This racetrack here, it's very abrasive. And finally, now something's got to give, and that was the 83. As he really backs up the corner, he's going to get a big run on the high side just when you thought GT had it done. The 83 said, wait a minute, I got double the horsepower in this thing. I'm going to back up the corner, and I'm going to put my foot in it. Ray says, hey, if you can do it, I can do it too. Oh, we're almost getting ready to go 3 wide here. We're going to widen this back out. These boys serving up breakfast, lunch, and dinner here early. Yeah, this is the hottest battle on the racetrack right now between GT Azari, Medford, and Polking. Looks like Medford's going to back off just a little bit, perhaps cool those tires down. And I'll tell you what, the 83 and the 14, they're throwing tire conservation out the window right now. And as these two continue to throw knockout punches at one another, I mean, Ray is just loving this. as he kind of dials it back a little bit. Oh, he had to jump on the binders big time. He had such a run through the middle of the corner. He almost went up there and got into the 83. A lot of veteran race car drivers here in this race tonight, and they probably said, hey, fun as it is to run side by side and duke it out like this, we got 125 laps scheduled tonight. Too early to be going at it like this. As fun as that was to watch. As things now start to settle down just outside the top 10, let's set it back up to the front of this thing. No change other than McWhorter passing your pole setter, Sweeting for the lead. While we have a moment, let's check in on tonight's weather. However, that date is horribly wrong. That update has scrambled that information. I can promise you it's not April 1st, not April Fool's, haha. However, wind is a-blowing. 23 miles an hour steady. Could be gusting up to 30 at times, and that is wild for a cup race. Those speeds were a little bit higher at a super speedway. That could really make things interesting. However, just as I start talking about the weather, each time the caution flag flies again. So we will come back to that as that iRacing.com pace car picks up the field. And that is going to be the stage break. So that was not for incident out there on the racetrack. And while they're currently under yellow flag conditions, we're going to step aside, but don't go anywhere. We're going to go all-out coverage. You're not going to miss anything right here from Iowa. Race fans, good evening. Welcome back to Iowa as the Premier Sim Racers Club presents the Corn Chuckin' 125 right here on Redline Racing Network. Green flag back in the air, coming off the lone stage break on the evening. And we are picking right back up where we left off. Now 34 laps into this race, the scheduled 125. And it's okay to three-way here. GT Zari is eating good in the neighborhood. He gets by the 28 and the 43. Does that say bye, Petty? It does say bye, Petty, on the back of that race car. Obviously, Richard Petty Blue being showcased there on that 43 machine. As he runs in the top 10 in that 9th place position. Let's pull up the battle box here. We take a look at the battle. This group of race cars right here. Side by side, door to door, the 44 on the high side is going to lead that lap. And again, the Hornets' nest of brewing right around. GT Azari, once again, probably a place he does not want to be as he sends it back down low. He is getting all of the low side action that he possibly can on that racetrack. Kind of comes up. It's a little bit of a squeeze there on the 28. And I'll tell you what, in this Gen 4 race car, they like to dance, they do the jig. And you have to have a lot of confidence in those other drivers racing around you to run close quarters like this, especially at this racetrack. Once we get some laps on these tires, if you can wheel this race car, you'll see some big-time runs on the high side of the racetrack. And all this side-by-side action, it's allowing Medford in the 44 to close in on this battle. 28 of Hart's been there. Sean in the 43, Ray poking. He's not letting him get away in 10th, up 4 positions from where he started. Send it back up to the front. Battle for the lead could be starting to heat up. Chuck Sweeting, your pole sitter, slid back to that 2nd place position. While McWhorter in the 73 continues to carry the torch here in prime time. As they fire down the backstretch here. That Red Bull-powered race car making some noise. He's up a position, cracked the top 3. He's in the money right now. Bentley Glazer. Start to single file just a little bit here. Stretch things out. I believe we have 15 cars on the racetrack. Only person in the pit. In fact, he's coming out of the pits now as repairs now made to that 31 as he administered a big-time shot out there on the racetrack. All cars that started, took the initial green flag back out on the racetrack in competition. As these laps now start to accumulate a little bit on those Goodyear Eagles, you can see the preferred line drifting from the bottom. You'll see that kind of go to the middle and then up towards the top of this racetrack. Well, things are kind of calm out there right now. These drivers trying to bleed some of these laps off the board. Let's go ahead and run through the field. Starting with your leader. From St. Robert. He commands, carries the torch here in Iowa. Everything looking good out the front window for Joseph McWhorter. P2 belonging to Chuck Sweeting from Hawthorne, Florida. Your pole sitter having a great run there in that second place position. That Red Bull car has been vibing up a position, holds on to third, Bentley Glazer. While residing in fourth, that's Curtis Preston in the 20 from Georgetown, Kentucky. Rounding out your top five, that's going to be Travis Everett in the 13 machine. He's up one spot on the scoring pylon. He runs out P5. Ooh, he got loose there off the corner. It's all fours across the board from Medford. Board positions gained in the 44 car, so thank him for your pick 3 lottery numbers tonight. Should you win, you give him 25%. Also, thank him if he pulls you a winning lottery ticket tonight on the pick 3 side of things. In Falcon Motorsports, that is Chris Medford. Bad Boy Troy, side by side here with the 44. Looking to battle for the position right now. At the moment, he holds on to 7th. Well, GT Hawkins has another lead. I'm sorry. GT is sorry. The Master are going faster. I'm telling you, these 3 drivers continue to be the hot spot, the hornet's nest on the racetrack. Continue to go through the field. That is 8th. Sean has a great view of it in 9th in that 43 car, even with the Vormal. We've already got the top 10. Ray Poking, who's also the second biggest mover of the race in that 10th place position. From Ohio, Michael Larch almost got leached, as he currently runs at 11th place position, while Ballesteros in 12th. Kind of did the slide for life here early, as he started well inside the top 5, but now finds himself in that 12th place position. While the other Medford, the Brandon version, 83, runs 13th. Matty Robinson, 14th. And Doug Wasaki from Belleville, Michigan, currently rounds out the 15 cars on the lead lap. While the man that took a play out of Mortal Kombat's finish hit to open up the first caution on the evening, looks like he's bringing it down pit road once again. What? Did he just mid-pit road? Something's going on here. I thought the 31 was taking it down pit road, but he is running the apron of the racetrack as things continue to go south here for William Hawley. Not quite sure. See if he brings it down pit road this time. I think he just blew the entrance there perhaps a little bit. No, he's not. He is running laps out there on the apron. Perhaps trying to shake something out in that race car. Something wasn't to his liking, so perhaps got out of the main racing line, main racing groove on the racetrack, and now he sends it up there into competition. So we'll continue to watch that story as it develops, as we send it now back up to the point. With the battle for the lead starting to heat up. '73 to '75 getting ready to go at it for round number 2 here. Tell you what, Chuck has been anything but sweet here early. Fierce competitor out there on the racetrack. Last time by, McCorder ran a 24.58 to Sweeting's 24.53. So the 75 a little bit faster, and this could be one of those trends of the race to watch as McCorder fires off like a missile, but Chuck may be better over the long run, as we're now north of 57 laps written in the history book. That time by, McCorder picked it up a little bit, but still a tenth quicker. Chuck Sweeting now as he works it Less than 3 car lengths now. That interval between him and the leader. Let's go on board with the 75 as he dials up the excitometer inside the cockpit of the 73. You can hear him struggle to put the power down. You got to have a lot of self-control as here we go. As soon as we go on board, he's going to send it down to the bottom of the racetrack. It's a John Force special. Well, it looked like it was going to be when he pulls it back up in line, but he is there now. He has made his presence known. Trying to pull the move from Dale Earnhardt. He called him the Intimidator. Why? Because he would sit there and just menace you off the back bumper. How he got the name Intimidator, and that's exactly what Chuck is trying to do right now to the 73. Trying to make a mental mistake, catch a mirror drive and miss the corner. Part the red season, perhaps give him a clean path to the lead here. Joseph, however, a seasoned veteran race car driver. Probably not going to make those types of mental mistakes, but hey, you never know. Already seeing north of a second fall off here from over the fastest lap. I was talking about the start of the broadcast, just how quickly, especially in these Gen 4 cars, the Dr. Feelgoods become Feel-Bads. Case in point, Joseph McWhorter, best lap at 23.58, currently last time by at 24.66. And a very similar story for the car that's in P2 right now, Sweeting at 23.57 and a 24.66 last time by. Fastest car on that racetrack last lap, however, was Medford. However, he's buried all the way back in 8th. Talk about closing the distance. You can see ever so slightly just nipping away at it. Just as I say that, Sweeting may have overcooked that right front or right rear, perhaps, as McWhorter faster now by a 10th. Those last 2 laps, and you can see that gap starting to wide out in the favor of the 73 here once again. Battle for 7th place starting to heat up between that Golf-powered Ford Mustang, being piloted by Larch. Medford, the Chris version there in the 8th place position. Keeping the driver of the one honest inside that Mustang. And I'm telling you, 7th, 8th, and 9th have really been going at it all race long. And here we go, the Spartan machine getting ready to throw his hand in the mix. I mean, the last time by, these drivers between 7th and 9th virtually turned the same lap time. Talking about a thousandths between them. What does that do? Well, that translates to close quarters side, battling out here on the racetrack. Now we got some laps on these tires. They're starting to wear out a little bit. Really going to widen out the racing surface here. You can explore the space here. Find a line that works best for you in the race car. Ballesteros in 9th, Medford in 10th, GT Azari trying to have it his way. Oh, look at the 43 going full-blown drift mode. Looked like a Friday night drift competition. Forget Code Brown. That was Code Everything in the cockpit of the 43 there. Great job getting that race car back underneath him. Looking like the King Petty behind the wheel. That natural bike 43. You send it back up to the point. Joseph McWhorter continues to carry the torch here in Iowa. We're going to step aside, pay some bills, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on Redline Racing Network. Race fans, good evening and welcome back to the Premier Racers Club as they take on the Iowa Speedway. Want to welcome all the fans and however you get our content, welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones here on Redline Racing Network as we come back under caution. Is that iRacing.com pace car. Back out onto the racetrack, slowing things back down to a crawl here. McWhorter continues to put on a phenomenal performance, edging out Chuck Sweeting. And the rest of the other competition McWhorter started in P2. Chuck Sweeting had the pole. Those two guys flip-flop spots near the top of the early on in this race. They continue to run 1-2. Bentley Glazer having a great run there in the Red Bull-powered machine. That's the 24 ride, Travis Everett. Currently resides in fourth, up 2 positions from where he started, and rounding out the top 5, Curtis Preston. And that number 20 throwing homage there to Tony Stewart, a.k.a. Smoke, in 5th. Ballesteros Drew having a great run in the 54 ride, while Brandon Medford currently up 5 spots in 7th. Larch holding on to 8th, while GT Azari currently slots in 9th and rounding out your top 10 as they run right now. 46 Array Poking. Looks like Matthew Robinson in that 40 off the racetrack. And the problems continue to mount from William Hawley. As things went bad for him quick, fast, and in a hurry, literally right off the drop of the initial green flag as he continues to sit in his pits having work done to that race car. Lights are going to go out. That means we're going back to the live action, this time by re-rack them, restack them 2 by 2. 75's going to have the inside line. See the pit strategy there. Your favorite. These leaders have been down pit road. Pace car is going to pull off here. McWhorter's going to have the trigger, and he unleashes the beast here. Kind of catches him on the snooze button. Looking like an all-wheel drive 1,000 horsepower Nissan GTR on that restart, but oh, Sweeting doing the dance. Looked like he found where the Waffle House dumped the bacon grease, and he's going to send it in Hail Mary style on the bottom. McWhorter continues to just outperform the 75. Enough to keep him at bay. Ballesteros taking a peek. 54 hasn't wound up on the high side. 24. That Camry, ooh, he kind of gets a little closer than he bargained for there. Car looked like it got loose, and the 20 machine's going to probably try to thread the needle here. He thought about taking it 3 wide, then he thinks better of it. It's Glazer on the bottom and the 20 of Preston on the high side. This is for that 4th and 5th position. You got newer tires on this race car. Well, these drivers have a lot more confidence. They can utilize that power, all that torque in this Gen 4 car. It's not going to slide around and because of that, you can see the amplitude, the action on the racetrack, the intensity, dial up. GT, where did he come from? He just lit the afterburner down there in the flatlands. I mean, I don't call him the master of going faster for nothing, but my God. Ha! He had that car set aflame. These two now side by side just in front of him. Let's ride on board with GT Azari. As I was saying earlier, you can really make up some time there on the bottom. But you can see with just, oh, look at him. Look at the shutter shake on that wheel. He has got that steering ratio cranked up through the heavens. Much shorter around this racetrack on the bottom, but you can really utilize all that horsepower and torque on the high side and really get the speed that, that car wound up. He is flicking. In fact, GT running lower than virtually anyone else on the racetrack right now. Let's throw up his onboard telemetry. That's going to appear in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You can see just under 7,000 RPM as he starts to unleash hell, that being the throttle going towards the floorboard. You can see just how quickly these cars accelerate. We're still, though, as our 2x2 side-by-side is 6 through 9. Continues to be the hottest action here on the racetrack. And the cord-chucking 125 here from Iowa. I'm up here standing up in the broadcast booth. These drivers got me on pins and needles. The way they're just throwing it out now down there on the racetrack. Haymakers at each other. Throw some corn husks out there on the racetrack as well. It is getting good. Trying to figure out how GT is making that ultra low line work. It's an incredible piece of driving from him to be able to wrap the bottom like he is. 24 sees him come and says, hey, I'm going to go down there and see if I got some speed in that Camry. Then these drivers run 7th through 9. Or excuse me, 7th through 8. So there's the one of Larch. GT still cannot make that pass. Either can the 24. It's almost like these cars are stuck where they are. That's why I always say catching them is one thing, passing them another. Oh! Heavens to Betsy, did you see that? Looks like a formation of the Blue Angels coming out of turn 4. Ballesteros does the dance from the top of the hill all the way down to the bottom. The 20 tries to throw the switcheroo in it. We're 3 wide. And if that's not enough, the 24 gets a case of the blinks on the high side of the racetrack. Oh, get skinny, boys, get skinny. Just tell these laps are starting to wind down. I promise you up front, not much is happening. I take that back. Now this lead's starting to heat back up. is now we're just 25 laps remaining. So have to keep an eye on the battle for the lead here and the battle for 7th. Pick your poison. These boys flying around here at 24:18 last time by. So up at the front continues to be Joseph McWhorter calling the shots, carrying the torch for Chuck Sweeting, applying a ton of pressure. And as they continue to fight, now that's allowing Travis Everett in 13th. He finds himself in 3rd. Ballesteros gets shuffled back to 4th. Let's go back here and check on this battle. This is for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Seems like the 20, or excuse me, the 24 and the 20 have that sorted out. Similar situation now for GT and Larch. So as that battle dies down, let's send it back up here to the front. Just shy of 20 laps to go. McWhorter last time by a 24:31. Chuck Sweeting just a little bit quicker, 24:29. Someone's peeking. He's taking a look to the inside. He just cannot put the throttle down. Again, with Sweeting calling for the power, you cannot carry that momentum all the way out to the top shelf of the racetrack if the 73 is there. And because of that, he's not able to get enough momentum. He cannot just get to the quarter of the 73. Each time he does that, that takes a chunk of life out of those tires. So then basically he falls back to reload, regroup. You got 2/10 between the leader and second, and then between second and third, another 2/10, and that's from the back of the 75 of Sweeting to Travis Everett. In fact, that now goes to 3/10. As the McWhorter show continues to unfold here in the state of Iowa. Tell you what, every time that 17, he backs off, cools those Goodyears down for a lap or two, he hits right back on the attack mode. "17 laps now remain. Driver should have enough go fast in the tank to get to the checkered flag, excuse me. You can tell Chuck knows time is starting to wind down here. And you can see the intensity starting to pick up on the racetrack. He's thrown about everything at McWhorter other than the kitchen sink. These drivers don't have the luxury of having a virtual water bottle they can throw out onto the racetrack to cause a caution here either. Sweeting just about mirroring the line there of McWhorter. Oh, McWhorter's going to go up the hill. I think he kind of missed the middle there. The car didn't turn enough. He had to get out of the throttle there. I thought that was going to be exactly the opportunity that Sweeting needed. However, did not have enough mustard in that car to go up there and challenge. Now the 75 takes the GT line down to the bottom of the racetrack. Great defense being played here by McWhorter. trying to throw all the dirty air in the world he possibly can at the 75 as well. However, that dirty air doesn't play as much of a factor in this Gen 4 car as it does with the next gen. Remember, the next gen car makes all of its downforce on the underside of that race car. Or this current Gen 4 car, or aka Twisted Sister car, it's all about throwing the air over top of that body that generates the downforce. In fact, you want as little airflow as possible underneath that race car. Lap car there getting out of the way. Great heads-up decision there by the 34, not trying to impact the outcome of this race as we are just shy of 10 laps to go. Chuck may have one more last opportunity here to try to cool those tires down. I think that's what he's trying to do right now, perhaps. Is now McWhorter's going to open it up to almost a half-second lead. Oh, the 75's getting loose out of that corner. He may have used up the goodies on those Goodyears. Travis Everett continues to command that third-place position. Bentley Glazer having a great run there. The Red Bull machine is rocking in fourth. Bentley Glazer, Drew Ballesteros, even with the board where they started, they both started fourth and fifth, and they run fourth and fifth. Biggest mover of the race, GT. Kind of running a line of his own there on the bottom of the racetrack, literally. Almost looks like Harvick at Atlanta back in the day. I know they're two separate racetracks, but that is just how low. And just as I say that, GT's going to go on the attack. We'll keep an eye on the battle on the front. If we see that margin starting to disappear, we'll send it back. Well, right here, this is the best you're going to see right now on the racetrack with just 7 laps to go. The Burger King man's a knocking. 54, Ballesteros trying to take that line away, but the 54, really, this is unknown territory for him trying to run that low. He has been up towards the fence, giving him a lot of room here to work with. You know, GT's been running so low, he may be able to get the power down a little bit better. You see that's costing a couple tenths on the racetrack. Oh, they almost bumped, they almost touched. Now that allows the one large to come in. What lane does Large choose? He may go the middle. The 54 comes down and blocks. The one gets loose. They're side by side. John Force Special going across the start-finish line. Gentleman's handshake lap now in the air. Taking a peek quickly up front. It is all McWhorter over Sweeting as we send it back to the GT bunch. Whoa, hold on to it. That golf machine almost had it pointed to the fence. 54 is going to slipstream it in, knock it on the back door. How about GT? Oh, he gets loose. He made the pass. He had to lift. Here comes the 54 back on the attack. Now you put the 14 on the high side of the racetrack. A place he really hasn't ran. How is this car going to handle up at the fence? 3 laps to go. GT now up to 5th. Ballesteros says, hey, if you can do it, I can do it too. He goes now. Change that position, check the box. The one on the move as well with just 2 laps to go. We're going to send it back up to the point as popsicle sticks are in the air for Joseph, who has been hoarding that first place position literally since the drop of the green flag. Chuck Sweeting starting to fade as he is now north of 0.6 of a second back. As those popsicle sticks come down, white flag in the air for Joseph McWhorter. 1 trip left around this facility as he gets a clean exit off of 2 as he rockets down the backstretch for the final time. He'll salute to the fans, wave to the RVs as he heads into the 3-4 complex. And coming out of turn 4, he can see Barney's green flag or checkered flag in the air. McWhorter is going to win the corn shucking 125 here from Iowa with an electric race out there on the racetrack. Chuck Sweeting comes home second. Travis Everett third. Bentley Glazer fourth, and GT, the master of going faster, is already in fifth. You know, I can't tell you folks at home how hard it is to race like these guys did on the racetrack without wadding up race cars. You got to have a lot of poise and control. And they certainly exemplified and showcased their skill set as he burns it down. Get all the good out of that race car, man. You don't got to save it now. Burning it out in the grass, helping those groundskeepers a little bit, if you will. What a run for McWhorter. Sometimes you get that momentum. You got all that momentum in the world. Give him a moment to celebrate with his team. Going to interview the top 3 like we always do right here on Redline Racing Network. Now, if we can just get the driver's chat to operate. That race was so rowdy, that doesn't even want to respond. So bear with me a moment here. Try to get that to work. There we go. It's kind of out to lunch there. And want to thank all of you for tuning in right here to watch some Gen 4 action here on Redline Racing Network. You want to join the family? It's simple. Smash the like button, ring the bell, get notified each and every time Premier Sim Racers Club is live in prime time. That way you won't miss any of the high-flying, high-octane racing action. We're still waiting on McWhorter, Chuck Sweeting, and Travis Everett to join us here in the broadcast booth. Hopefully they'll be available momentarily. And unfortunately, I'm not seeing any of them. Perhaps they've just decided, hey, we're going to celebrate this one with the team. And we'll talk to y'all on the broadcast side of things next week. And that's fine. That's their decision. No one says that is mandatory or said it right the first time, mandatory. Going to take one more pass through the driver's chat, and unfortunately, not seeing any of those top 3 drivers. Looks like they're going to decline the interview tonight. No problem. But what a race put on here tonight. What a show between Joseph McWhorter, Chuck Sweeting. The great battles that we've seen on that racetrack, and it was really amplified. 7th through 9th place all night long. I mean, those guys were dishing it out. And only to have one caution for incident with close quarters racing like that, that is something for those drivers to really be proud of. That is easier said than done. Let's take a look here at the final results. Go ahead and pull that up. We can get that to cooperate. Come on, you can do it. Well, folks, unfortunately, the final results do not want to show up here in the overlay. With that being said, it's come to this point in time in the broadcast where we have to, all good things must come to an end. I want to thank everyone, all the partners, sponsors, men and women behind the scenes that make this league possible. Without your commitment, certainly would not be possible each and every week to put on this great Gen 4 league. And as the late, great Tony Trapasso used to say, as you walk down the road of life this week, do us all a favor, don't play in traffic, and we'll see you next time right here on Redline Racing Network.